Number 10, Dumbala the Serpent God. Ever wondered what happens when a giant snake gets a PhD in soul stealing and moves into a swamp? Meet Dumbala, the Marvel voodoo god who's basically the king of the mystical underworld, but still finds himself losing to a guy wearing a bright cape and a fancy eye of Agamotto. He is a massive serpent with a humanoid twist. While he packs enough punch to toss around cars and live forever, his main gig is playing with soul energy and being the ultimate occult pest. He loves to mess with Brother Voodoo or Doctor Strange, usually showing up in a puff of smoke just to get his scaly butt kicked back to the earthly plane. What I think's pretty crazy is that he's actually quite powerful in his own little bubble, commanding armies of snakes and possessing people like a spiritual virus. However, he is stuck in a bit of a niche because his power comes directly from the belief of his followers and the specific laws of voodoo magic. On top of that, he is essentially a local deity, meaning he does great in a dark alley in New Orleans, but would probably pass out the moment a galaxy-sized explosion happened nearby. He represents the baseline of this list because he is a god in the sense that he is hard to kill and could probably ruin your weekend, but he is definitely not rewriting reality or eating stars for breakfast. He is a formidable sorcerer god who could cast illusions that would make Vegas magicians weep, yet he remains vulnerable to simple banishment spells. He's the guy you call to haunt a house, not the guy who fights the living personification of the universe. So, if you ever see a giant snake trying to steal your soul, just remind him that he is the participation trophy of the divine hierarchy. Number 9, Ahriman, the god of evil. If you thought your neighbor's loud music was the embodiment of evil, you clearly haven't met the Persian personification of darkness known as Ahriman. This DZ heavyweight is a primordial force of corruption who wakes up every single morning with the sole intention of turning the entire universe into a giant soul-crushing goth club, which I think I might be into. Unlike Dumbala, who is happy just ruling a swamp, Ahriman wants to dismantle the mortal fabric of existence and plunge every single star into permanent darkness. He is the external rival to the Light of Ormuzd, also known as Ahura Mazda, his twin brother. His reality warping skills are so advanced that he can corrupt the souls of mortals and immortals alike just by hanging around. What makes it even crazier is that he is a universal constant of negativity, meaning as long as there is a bad vibe somewhere in the multiverse, Ahriman is probably lurking behind it. He is a significant step up from our serpent friend because he's not tied to a specific culture or a handful of followers. He is a fundamental cosmic principle that requires high-tier divine intervention just to be slowed down. He has manipulated entire civilizations into self-destruction and waged war against the very concept of order, making him a metaphysical threat that keeps Wonder Woman awake at night. On top of all that, he is a shadowy tempter who can make you think your worst impulses are actually great ideas, which honestly is a pretty handy trick for a god of evil. His only downside is that he's stuck in a permanent stalemate with his light-sided twin, which really puts a damper on his plans for total multiversal domination. At least he can take comfort in the fact that he's the most successful professional hater in the history of DC Multiverse. Number 8, Haranmir, the god of death. Imagine being the god of a race that is terrified of fire while also being the god of fire yourself. Talk about a stressful career choice. Haranmir is the Martian deity of death, art, and flames, making him the most confusing and terrifying figure in the history of Malakadandra. He is a spiritual entity residing in a higher dimension, and his telepathic power is so massive that it makes Martian Manhunter look like he's using a tin can phone. While Ahriman is a vague concept of evil, Haranmir is the tangible master of every Martian soul that has ever existed, which honestly is a pretty big deal. He represents the union of a physical and sublime, guiding the transition of souls into the afterlife, while also being a master of the life fire that fuels his people. On top of that, he can project his consciousness across space and time to punish or guide his subjects with divine inevitability, which is way more impressive than possessing a random hiker in a swamp. He ranks higher than Ahriman because of his mastery over Martian physiology and psychic energy, which makes him a near omnipotent force within his specific domain. He is a multifaceted deity who manages to be both a creator of art and a bringer of the end. Number 7, Inanna, goddess of love and war. Most people find it hard enough to balance a career and a hobby, but Inanna manages to be the goddess of both love and war without breaking a sweat. As a high-ranking member of the Marvel Anunnaki, she is a powerhouse of divine energy who's been trading blows with the Eternals and Avengers for centuries. She's possessed the standard superhuman traits of a goddess, but they are cranked up to a level that allows her to manipulate cosmic energy and influence the emotions of entire populations. What makes it even crazier is that her power is fueled by universal constants that never go away, unlike poor Hronimir, who is mostly ruling over a graveyard. She is a versatile combatant who thrives on the intergalactic stage, showing up in various Marvel titles to remind everyone that she is still a major player in the divine hierarchy. On top of that, she can manifest physically whenever she wants, which gives her a level of agency that most spiritual gods on this list can only dream about. She is not just a recipient of life, but an active force that exerts her will across Earth and its neighboring dimensions with terrifying efficiency. She ranks above the Martian death god because her divinity is sustained by the perpetual nature of love and conflict, ensuring she never runs out of power as long as people are still fighting or falling in love. Her feats include battling cosmic entities and asserting her dominance over powerful immortals, making her a heavy hitter who refuses to be ignored. She is the ultimate dual-threat deity, capable of breaking your heart and then your ribs in the exact same afternoon. It's honestly pretty impressive to me that she could find the time to start a war when she's busy being the cosmic version of a dating app. Number 6, Buluku, the voodoo skyfather. When you are the supreme creator of an entire pantheon, you tend to look down on minor gods of love and war like they're interns. Buluku, also known as Nana Buluku, is the voodoo skyfather of the Marvel Universe and the person who actually breathed life into the world and its deities. He exists on the same tier as heavyweights like Odin or Zeus, possessing near objective control over mystical and cosmic energies on a scale that is hard to wrap your brain around. What makes it even crazier is that he is the source of all power within his divine domain, meaning every other voodoo god is basically just using his leftovers. He can warp reality, manipulate matter, and change the laws of physics on a planetary scale whenever he feels like it. On top of that, he's a primordial architect with the wisdom of a being who saw the beginning of time, making him much more than just a guy with big muscles and a shiny crown. He ranks above Inanna because the gap between a high-tier goddess and a skyfather is like the gap between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. While she can influence emotions, Buluku can unmake the very ground she stands on without even looking up from his cosmic newspaper. His power is not just an expression of energy, it is the fundamental foundation of his entire mythological system. He stands as the pinnacle of his lineage, wielding the collective power of every Loa combined, which makes him a true heavyweight in the Marvel cosmic landscape. He is the one who breathes life, and he's not about to let anyone forget it. That is why being the boss of all gods sounds great until you realize you are basically the cosmic IT guy responsible for keeping reality running. Number 5, Ra, the sun god. Superman might be the Man of Steel, but Ra is the giant red solar furnace that decided the Man of Steel should exist in the first place. Ra is the supreme deity of the Kryptonian pantheon, and he is more of an abstract cosmic entity than a guy on a robe living on a mountain. He embodies the red sun of Krypton and functions as a fundamental aspect of the DC cosmos' physical and metaphysical structure. What I think makes him notable is that he can create life, manipulate time, and exert total control over the physical laws of any solar system he happens to visit. Even Superman treats Ra with a mixture of reverence and genuine fear, which is understandable when your god can casually turn off your powers and delete your planet on one move. On top of that, Ra has demonstrated the ability to absorb the life force of entire populations to keep his own divinity topped up, which is a bit of a red flag, but very effective. I'm taking him over Buluku because his influence is not confined to a single magical pantheon or a set of rituals. He is a cosmic force that interacts with the building blocks of the universe. When Buluku is the king of the gods, Ra is the sun that gives life to a race of beings who are basically gods themselves. His scope is much broader, and his raw energy output exceeds the localized reality warping of a traditional skyfather by a massive margin. He is a central figure of Krypton, but his power is a universal constant that defines biology and potential across the stars. Number 4, Arzaz, the god of order. If the universe were a giant computer, Arzaz would be the lead programmer who is constantly patching bugs to keep the whole thing from crashing. As a prominent Lord of Order in the DC universe, he is a non-corporeal entity of immense magical and cosmic power who exists to keep the peace against the forces of chaos. He does not just rule a small group of followers, he helps govern the actual laws that allow the universe to function without dissolving into a puddle of nonsense. He is a fundamental pillar of the multiverse, operating on a higher plane of existence where concepts like cause and effect are his playthings. While Ra is a massive source of physical power, Arzaz is a multiversal administrator who maintains the logic that dictates how fire burns and how time flows. He ranks above Ra because his authority is multiversal and foundational, reaching far beyond the limits of a single star system or race. If the universe is a stage, Ra is the brightest light on it, but Arzaz is the guy who built the theater and wrote the script. He rivals the Lords of Chaos in a struggle that spans across dimensions and timelines, making him a heavyweight in the grand hierarchy of existence. He is an abstract constant that keeps the fabric of reality from tearing at the seams, which I think's a pretty stressful job when you think about it. Number 3, Atum the God Eater. Imagine being so powerful that your entire job description is eating other gods until they go extinct, and you will have a good idea of what Atum is all about. This Marvel elder god, also known as Demogorg, was created by Gaia to clean up the neighborhood when the first generation of gods turned into demons. He is a literal god-eater who consumes the essence of his victims to add their strength to his own, which is a pretty great way to climb the corporate ladder, I won't lie. What makes it even crazier is that he successfully hunted and devoured almost every elder god on Earth, forcing the survivors to run away to other dimensions like Tom and Jerry. He is nearly invulnerable, can fly through space, and manipulates cosmic energy on a scale that makes skyfathers look like toddlers with sparklers. On top of that, he is a proactive and destructive force of nature designed to end entire divine lineages, which is a way more direct than Arzaz's administrative duties. To me, he deserves a spot above the Lord of Order because his role is specifically to terminate entities of that caliber, acting as a physical and spiritual predator for the divine. While Arzaz maintains the laws of reality, Atum is the inevitable end for anyone who tries to live in it. His power ceiling is virtually non-existent because as long as he keeps eating gods, he just keeps getting stronger and more terrifying. He is the ultimate cosmic reset button, a force that even the most powerful pantheons fear because he is the evolutionary dead end for anyone with a deity title. Number 2, Nyx, the goddess of night. Nyx is basically what happens when you take the concept of the dark and give it enough power to murder an entire pantheon in a single night. She is a primordial being who predates the current universe, and she recently showed up just to slaughter the Olympians, including Zeus, with absolutely terrifying ease. Her control over darkness is not just about shadows. It's a conceptual force that allows her to erase beings from existence and reclaim the era before light began. What's even crazier is that she's a survivor of the void that existed before the stars, making her an existential threat of the totality of existence itself. While Atum is a hunter within creation, Nyx is the darkness that wants to consume the entire garden and replace it with a giant empty nothingness. On top of that, she nearly succeeded in rewriting the history of the entire universe during her recent rampages, battling the Avengers and various cosmic entities all at once. Second spot right above Atum seems just right because her power is not about killing individuals, it's about the total negation of light and life on a multiversal scale. Her mastery over the fundamental concept of night allows her to bypass almost every physical and magical defense in the book. She is a peer to the most powerful abstracts in the Marvel hierarchy, representing a level of threat that requires the universe's absolute best champions to even stand a chance. She is the primordial mother of shadows, and I guess she is very tired of everyone leaving the lights on in her house. Number 1, Civa, the Undying. I'm calling this guy the DC entity that makes every other god on this list look like dying ants. He is the last of the shadow gods, who preceded the new gods, and he is a living catastrophe so powerful that his mere footsteps could crack the foundation of the universe. He is the physical manifestation of the cataclysm that wiped out the old gods, possessing strength and vulnerability that truly have no upper limit. What makes it even crazier is that his awakening caused tremors throughout the entire multiverse, threatening to collapse the barriers between every single world in existence. While Nyx is a conceptual threat, Civa is a raw, unadulterated force of cosmic entropy that the laws of physics simply cannot contain or explain. On top of that, it took the combined efforts of Superman and Orion using the power of the source itself just to temporarily get him to go back to sleep. He ranks at the absolute top because he is the shadow of the gods, a being whose power makes the distinction between magic and science completely irrelevant. He represents the ultimate endpoint of power, a creature so massive and destructive that the universe itself literally cannot sustain his presence for very long. His feats of shaking the entire DC cosmology and requiring the direct intervention of the Source's chosen warriors solidify his place as the apex predator of the divine world. He's not just a god or a primordial, he is the inevitable end of everything, wrapped in a package that nobody can stop. If you ever feel like you're having a bad day, just remember, you aren't currently being stepped on by a guy who breaks reality by walking. Well, that's it for this one. If you liked the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and ring the bell so you never miss a drop. Craving more stories from comics, movies, and beyond? Check out this video right here. Cheers, and see you in the next one.